Come on in, come on in. I hope that y'all are well. Happy Friday. Happy Feminine Friday. I'm going to send this out really quickly. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. I don't know if I like this light like this. I think I like that one better. Let me send this out. Happy Feminine Friday. Happy Feminine Friday. Come on in. Make sure I'm not missing anyone. Happy Friday, sunshine. Come on in, come on in. We are talking about today the woman that everyone admires is quietly falling apart. So we're going to be talking specifically about, women who you may see online that you praise, that you admire, that you're like, oh my goodness, this woman is just doing amazing things. A lot of these women are literally crashing behind closed doors. And we're going to talk about that today, okay? Specifically, I'm going to get into the invisible performance contract that she signed. I'm going to get into how this hits your body, your bank account, and your bedroom. I'm going to talk about the 3 laws that you're violating spiritually. So we can get you to the point of you not being in that space of having to feel like you need to pretend or you need to act like you have it all together, or position yourself to feel like, okay, you have to be everything for everyone, because you do not have to do that. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Elle Antoinette. I am an energetics and identity mentor, and what I do specifically is I support my amazing clients who are visionary women. I support them specifically in dissolving invisible ceilings so that they can embody emotional and energetic authority, so that their leadership, their wealth, and their relationships reflect their authentic design. Because a lot of women are exhausted because they are doing things that do not align with their authentic design as women. And because of that, they are struggling, they are suffering, they are exhausted, and they tend to come to me so we don't have to be in that space to do that. When you are in a state of performance, you feel like you have to do a multitude of things to be able to make money, to get approval, for people to be with you. And the reality is, you don't have to do any of those things. You really have to get into alignment, okay? You really, really have to get yourself into alignment. So share this with another amazing woman who is a visionary, who is in business, who is doing her work, but she just kind of finds herself in a space where she's exhausted, and she's found herself in a space to where she just feels like it's just a lot. It's just extremely a lot. And behind closed doors, she has heavy anxiety. She feels crushed. She feels the weight of everything weighing down on her. And this is going to be perfect for you going into quarter 4, because quarter 4 is going to start, of course, on not to say August, Lord, from October the 1st. So if you are trying to get yourself situated, if you are claiming that you are going to be locked in, you're going to have to address these key points in your life if you really want to be locked in and you really want to execute and you really want to be an authority in your own life as a feminine woman, okay? So share this with another amazing woman leader. I'm going to dive deep into this. I'm not going to be on here really long, but the information that I'm going to be giving is going to be very potent. It's going to be very powerful. So share this with an amazing woman who needs this work, because, yeah. Hi there. Hi there. And also put a 1 in the comments so I can make sure that you guys can hear me clearly before I go ahead and get started, because I'm not going to be on here long. Like I said, we're talking about the woman everyone admires and how she's quietly falling apart, what that looks like. If you are that woman, this is definitely the lie for you, because you need to figure out what exactly is happening in your world that's positioning you to feel as if you have to suffer in silence, or you have to be everything for everyone, because that is not your reality. That is not what you have to do. That is not what you're required to do, okay? So let's just go ahead and get straight into it. Why she's falling apart, what exactly is going on. So I'm going to describe this woman first before we even get into it. This woman is She has the image, she has the presence, she has the accolades. Maybe she's gotten all the degrees, maybe she's gotten all the certifications, maybe she's gotten all the awards in business, maybe she's done all these things, but her peace, no, she's not having any of that. Her rest, no, she's not having any of that. Instead of her having peace, she's being paid to be silent about what it is that she needs. Instead of her having rest, she's sacrificing rest to be relevant by consistently showing up in spaces and being all over the place, okay? A lot of these type of women became, how can I say this? They became the strong one before you ever even consented to it. A lot of this started in our childhoods. A lot of this started during a time frame where we really couldn't control our environments. So a lot of us learned that our worth was in being reliable. Our worth was in being palatable. Our worth was in being desirable and being exceptional. And honestly, what does that amount to, and what happens when a woman grows up in a space where, she's trained or learned that her worth is rooted in her reliability, her ability to be palatable, her ability to be desirable, or her ability to be exceptional? You have a bunch of women who are out here competing for men. That's what you get. You have a lot of women who are out here competing and performing for the attention of men because they don't feel worthy. Because women don't compete for anything else. They don't compete for positions. They don't compete to see, okay, who's going to make the most amount of money this week in business. Like, men do that type of stuff. We don't have that type of banter. What women tend to compete over and compete about is men. So they're trying to be the most reliable. They're trying to be the most palatable, not being themselves. They're trying to be the most desirable, not being themselves. They're trying to be the most exceptional. And this is exactly why you attract men who come into your space and build on your back. Because you are performing worth so that you can be chosen, which is why you're cleaning and cooking and cleaning and, and doing all of that. And why you laying on your back and why you're doing all these things in hopes, to be able to be chosen. That's what happens when you learn your worth from these things. And that's what a lot of women have learned their worth from. And what women have found is that now they're extremely exhausted. They're extremely exhausted, not because you can't necessarily handle life, but more so because you never learned how to receive it. You never learned how to receive life. Imagine being a woman who creates life, who brings life to the planet, but not knowing how to receive life. Okay? Not knowing how to receive life in a way to where it is fulfilling, to receive life in a way to where you have joy, to receive life in a way to where you have peace. Imagine being able to bring life into this world and not being able to receive life. That is how a lot of women operate. A lot of women operate. So secretly, a lot of women have signed this performance contract during childhood, which is why you feel like you need to earn your worth or earn the fact of you being chosen. And this mindset not only transitions from childhood, but it transitions into, being selected or chosen for the type of college that you want to go to, being selected and chosen for the specific position that you're looking for. So we have been taught, in a sense, to sign these invisible performance contracts, and we are wondering why we are exhausted. We are wondering why we are not we don't feel chosen, and it's because we don't choose ourselves. If you put your relationship or you put your health and your well-being in the hands of someone else, you're going to find yourself in trouble. Thank you, my love. Okay? If you put your worth in the fact that you can execute things, or your worth in how well you are in bed, your worth and how well you can hold someone down, you're going to find yourself in a space to where you're going to consistently be exhausted. You're going to be stuck in a time loop. Okay? You're going to be stuck in a time loop where you keep repeating the experience of being a victim. When you find yourself in a time loop where you consistently find yourself consistently being the victim, you have to assess how you're participating in this experience. You have to assess how you may be giving permission to this experience. You have to assess how these things are coming into your space, because it's not random. Okay? It's not random at all. So let's talk about what this particular woman doesn't really say. Though she's being admired from everyone else, people are clapping for her, people are excited, people are like, oh my God, you're doing these amazing things, I love you. And behind closed doors, she's literally crashing out, because what she's not saying is, I haven't cried in weeks. What she's not saying is, I wake up anxious every single day. What she's not saying is, I forgot what pleasure feels like unless it's productive. What she's not saying is those things. The woman that you're calling disciplined is secretly self-punishing. The woman that you're calling independent is emotionally isolated. The woman that they call inspirational is actually holding in her screams. What you see online with a lot of these influencers and a lot of people is not the reality of what exactly is going on. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of these big gurus are talking about, oh, you can do this and make money and do that. A lot of them are crashing out behind closed doors, and they're not being honest. They're not being honest about what exactly is happening. And I'm going to be very transparent with you. I have a wide range of clients. I always talk about, how your doctors come to see me, your nurse practitioners come to see me, your attorneys come to see me. Who else? Your attorneys, your doctors, your therapists. But I'm going to tell you a set of clients that come to see me that are the most honest. Former SW workers. Yep. The clients that come in who are the most transparent about where they are and the most honest about where they are the former SW workers or SW workers who want to come out of their life and that want to get back into their feminine bodies. Okay? These women are tired of hiding. They're tired of acting like they have it all together. Yes, the money is wonderful and is coming in for them, but the reality of the situation, the sacrifice and what goes into it is not worth it for them. So I always think it's very interesting when I hear women try to judge women who work in that industry, when in reality, you're not doing anything different than what they're doing. You're using your body, your mind, and your feelings and your emotions and basically getting pimped by corporate. You're basically getting pimped by a corporate. Okay? And you're not being honest about the sacrifices that you have to make within yourself to be able to attain to get this money. You have to silence yourself. You got to code switch. You got to act different. You got to do all these different things. You have to perform. You have to perform. So what makes you different from the woman that you are judging that does SW work? Because like I said, the women who come to work with me, your doctors, your attorneys, your dentists, your therapist, and SW workers, and coaches and consultants. But the ones who come in flat foot honest every single time, thank you, my love, are normally the SW workers. Because they really say, I'm tired of performing. And I have a lot of respect for them because they're very honest about that. Where I have CEOs who will come to me and doctors who will come to me and be like, oh no, but I have it, I got it, I got this. But if you have it and you got it, then why are you here? And why are you exhausted the way that you are? See, a lot of the women that y'all are admiring online, these women are suffering in silence behind closed doors. So let's talk about how this is impacting this particular type of woman, in her body, in her bank account, and even in her bedroom. Because let's go ahead and keep it real. Women who are not, I love you, women who are putting on a performance and playing a role are normally women who are allowing any and everyone to come into their bedrooms as well because they're performing for positions. So let's not even act like this. That's why I have it like this. Your body, I'm going to tell you how it impacts your body, your bank account, and you in the bedroom. But let's go ahead and talk about specifically in your body. So this is what happens when you're trying to act as if you have it all together, but the reality is that you don't. You have chronic fatigue. You have weight fluctuations. You have gut imbalances. You're so welcome, my love. Your sleep is chaotic. Your nervous system is literally at war with your calendar. Thank you, my love, because you put everything and everyone before you instead of you actually taking care of yourself. And then you're wondering why nobody supports you. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Women who are normally in these positions, they're not supported. And it's not because people don't want to support them, to be honest with you. It's because they're not honest enough to say, I need help, I need support, I need these things. So therefore it shows up in your body because we're not stupid. We're not stupid. We're not blind, especially the ones who have spiritual gifts who can see, like myself. We see that you're always tired. We see that your weight is going up and down. We see that you having issues when it comes down to your gut. We see that you're not sleeping because you're up scrolling and messaging and doing things at night. Like, we see you. Your nervous system is literally at war because you won't put your own self at the top of the priority list of your calendar. Hi, Lovey. So let's talk about what this looks like. We know what's happening in your body. Let's talk about what's happening with your money, okay? So, or your bank account. When it comes down to your money, you underprice your brilliance, so you burn out at the top. I cannot explain to you. I can't make this any more plain when I say this, but I want to make it very clear. There is no such thing as charging your worth, okay? There is no such thing as charging your worth. You're never going to be paid your worth. Because the reality of the situation is that you are a priceless first-class experience because you were created by the creator of all things. So, number one, there's no way we have to stop doing that. The second thing I need you to understand, and I really need you to grasp, is that if you want to be successful in business, right? As a person who's built a multi-six-figure business from the ground up without hustling, and who has supported other women in being able to make more money, attract better partners, get healthier, and a multitude of other things, if you want to be able to really build a business that sustains, you are going to have to understand it's about knowing your worth and adding tax. You're never going to be paid for your actual value, okay? You're never going to be paid for your actual worth. This is you knowing your value, understanding your worth, and adding tax. Okay? Because when you understand your value and you know your worth, you'll never price wrong. Y'all have let corporate put you under a spell, and now you've come out of corporate and you are setting up your business in a way to where you're not going to be able to thrive because you want to charge low prices because you think that people are not going to pay. People are going to pay for what they value, much like how you pay for what you value. Excuse me. People are going to pay for what you value, what they value, much like you pay for what it is that you value. You have to articulate value properly so that people invest. People are still closing $20,000 deals. Y'all, there are people paying money for things that you would not even believe. And here you are, underpricing your brilliance and wondering why you're burning out. Why you only a month in and you exhausted. Business is so hard. Business is really not that difficult. Business is the ability to solve other people's problems. And people will pay you to solve their problems. Somebody's toilet not acting right, what they're going to do, they're going to call a plumber. So you have to articulate the value, but if you don't see the innate value within yourself, you can't articulate or create external value at all because you don't understand the value that is you, and you don't see your value outside of what you do, which is why a lot of women, when they introduce themselves and they say, tell me about you, you start telling me about your roles. You start telling me how you're a doctor. You start telling me how you went to school and you have this degree. You start telling me all these things. You tell me nothing about you because you don't know you. Imagine spending all of your life in school and knowing everything about the school textbooks, but still knowing nothing about yourself. You are setting yourself up for failure. The true education and the true knowledge is in self-awareness and self-actualization and self-mastery. But see, a lot of women don't want to step into the realm of self-actualization, self-mastery, because it requires them to make some real decisions. So again, in the money, you underpricing your brilliance and you're wondering why you're getting burnt out. And y'all are not just doing this in business. You are doing this when it comes down to corporate systems. They trick you into coming in, okay, well, what salary are you looking for? And because in your mind, you've heard, oh, 6 figures, $100,000. $100,000 is not going to do anything for you right now. And because you are so caught up in the programming of $100,000, you're missing the fact that truthfully, they would have given you $150,000. But you didn't do your research enough, you didn't assess enough, and you weren't confident enough to ask. And I'm gonna talk to us. Us as in us. We are the worst at negotiations. We are so happy to be in a room, to be in a building, to be at a corporation, to be there, to have a job, that you will settle for anything. And then when you come out of that honeymoon period about 6 months in and you realize that this money really is no money, then you got the nerve to be pissed off and want them to give you more. Actually, you need to come into the gate understanding, again, your value, knowing your worth, and so that you can add tax. The reason why y'all don't know how to price right is because you don't understand the first two elements. You don't understand your value and you don't know your worth. Your worth is priceless. You can articulate value in a way to where people will invest in you in a high level. The second way that it impacts her money, okay, is that she earns well, but she spends recklessly for relief. A woman who struggles, a woman who impulsively shops is the same woman who impulsively gets in relationships too quick, who impulsively gets in the bed too quick, who impulsively eats, who impulsively spends. This is the woman that has issues with meals, money, and men. And it's all because you're looking for some form of relief. Oh, I need retail therapy. No, you need to deal with your reality. See, you don't need retail therapy, beloved. You need to deal with your reality. Because if you dealt with your reality, you wouldn't necessarily need the retail therapy. And you would shop when you actually wanted to shop instead of seeking for relief. Much like a lot of women are not seeking romance, you are seeking relief. You are seeking support from paying your bills because you are not comfortable adulting. We don't want to talk about the aspect of it. We're in a stage right now in life where I know a lot of women are out here just kind of looking for someone to come in and give them relief. But I'm here to tell you, nobody's coming to save you. If you don't make decisions to position yourself better, the relief you're going to be looking for is going to be the noose around your neck. Keep looking for something that's not coming. You're going to get choked out in this life experience because you're going to realize nobody cares about you. Michael Jackson said it 30 years ago in one of my favorite songs, All I Want to Say Is That They Don't Really Care About Us, was not a lie. The fact that song is over 30 years old and we're still basically seeing that we're not cared about. So guess what? Thank you, my love, for these gifts. When are you going to step into the position of caring about yourself? Stop crying to these corporations. Stop crying to these countries. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care. If they don't, man, I'm not going to say that. They don't care about you. They poison you on a regular. They poison your spirit. They poison your mind. They poison your emotions. And they poison you with the air and the food that they give you. Do you really think that they care about you? Do you really think that you are at the top priority list? No. And you know what? You ain't supposed to be. You know why? Because you're supposed to be at the top of your priority list according to scripture. You are to love your neighbor as you love yourself. You too busy trying to love everybody else and not yourself and wondering why you are not the walking love letter you think you are. Why are you not getting the energy of love you feel like you need to be getting? Sweetheart, you're not a walking love letter to yourself. You're not a walking example of love. Therefore, you're not an energetic match for it. Just much like you're not an energetic match for the money you want to make because you can't manage yourself. See, you can't manage your impulses. You think you're going to manage this money? Absolutely not. You need to wake up. Women don't like to live in reality. Women don't like to live in reality. And we're in a space now, sweetheart, you're going to be forced to live in it, or you're going to see something. You're going to really see something. So again, this particular woman, she earns well, but she's reckless because she spends for relief. Or she saves everything she has, but she can't enjoy what she earned. I haven't talked about this in a long time, but I used to talk about how there were 3 levels of money. Right? There's 3 energetic levels of money, and you have to figure out if you want to change your money situation, you have to consider these 3 things. You have to consider what level you are on. So the first level is getting money. Okay? Anybody can get money. A robber can get money. If I ask you for $20, I can get money. If I go and I do this, I can get money. Getting money is the lowest level when it comes down to money. So when you hear someone say, oh, I'm getting money, you should not be impressed because anybody can get money. A robber with a gun could go get money, could rob a bank and go get money. Getting money is a very low level. You can have a 9 to 5 and get money. The second level, hey, loving. She said, I withdrew from my interviewing position this morning. That will be another cycle of self-sabotage. I'm glad that you realized that. The second level of money is holding money, hoarding money, right? And let me tell you something about this level, because there are people who graduate from the first level of getting money and they go into the space of hoarding money or holding money. People who sit on this frequency right here tend to ride the fence, and they tend to not expand when it comes down to money. And let me explain why. It's because you're holding it tight. And a lot of people, or women specifically, who sit, and men who sit on the frequency of hoarding money, they usually experience poverty during childhood. They experience quite a bit of lack during childhood, and because of that, they don't want to repeat the pattern of going back to the state of lack. So any money that they get, they hold it. I'm not going to spend any more than this amount of money in my account. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to hold this. But it seems like the more you hold on to the money, the easier it's snatched, or the quicker it's snatched from you. Imagine paying your car note off and thinking that you're saving this money for a rainy day, and then something happens immediately as soon as the car is paid off, and it snatches the money from you. Why? Because you're holding too tight to the money. You think the value is in the money. The reality of the situation is that money is made up, and you can go look this up on Google. Money is made up of 75% cotton, 25% linen. So those dollars that you are saving, when that dollar crashes, because it is coming, pay attention to what I'm saying. It is coming. Understand? Okay? So the dollars that you are holding in hopes, right, that is going to have value one day, it is only going to be worth the cotton and the linen that it is only printed on. Because like I said, it's made up of 75% cotton, 25% linen. The real value, and it hasn't been backed up by gold since 1970 something. So the reality of the situation is, when you are stressing over paper, you need to remember that it's nothing but paper. And the real value is within you. And I'll explain that. And if you don't believe me, look at, if you work at any job or any corporate scenario or anything like that, they pay you. Why? Because you're there doing what's necessary. You are the value. You are the worker bees that's getting them to their goals. They are taxing on your soul to meet their goals. And if you want to say, no, they're not taxing on my soul, yes, they are. Let me tell you how they're taxing on your soul to meet your goal. Okay? So yes, and I'm going to talk about that towards the end. I do. The reason why I say that they are taxing on your soul to meet your goals is because they're taxing on your mindset. If you are stressing out and exhausted about these jobs and mentally thinking about this when you get home, they in your mind. If you are in your feelings because they're not giving you what you think that you should have, when really your sole purpose is to get there and meet their goals so they can do what they need to do. If you are concerned about them focusing on your feelings, you have it extremely confused, because they don't care about that. They don't care about your feelings. Corporate does not care anything about you. They're about you meeting their goals. So if you're spending your mind thinking about them when you're off work, you and your feelings about how they're maneuvering and doing certain things, if it's causing you to become physically sick, then people are taxing on your soul to meet their goals. Your soul is comprised of three things: your mindset, your heart set, and your willpower. Some of you roll your eyes before you even have to go in. Okay? That means they have so much power over you that they mentally are impacting you, emotionally impacting you, and eventually physically is going to impact you as well. And these are the things that we have to think about and you have to consider. So when we're talking about, let's go back to the second level of money. When we're talking about hoarding money and holding money, the reason why you can't seem to keep money or you can't seem to expand your money is because you're holding tight onto it. Holding tight onto something means that you lack faith. And this is what we do. How you do one thing is how you do all things. The woman that is holding on to her money like this is the same woman who is trying to control the people in her life, especially men. Especially men. Because you feel like, if I don't have this amount, or if I don't hold on to this really, really tight, I'm going to lose it. Love is freedom. And most importantly, the Most High gives us free will of choice. You cannot control anything else other than yourself, which is why self-control is a fruit of the Spirit and nothing else. So what you have to understand is that the harder that you hold on to this money, how can you receive anything if you holding something so tight? How can you receive anything if you're holding your hand closed so tight? The Most High wants to give you way more, but you don't want to get that because you're so busy trying to hold tight to this. Okay? So let's go to the third level of money, of where people tend to, their money expands. Right? That is the understanding of sowing and reaping. So for example, when I get something, I give, right? When I get, I give. When I get, I give, because I understand the spiritual law of sowing and reaping, which I'm going to talk about that today too. I understand sowing and reaping. Hi, Lovey. Thank you. Because I understand sowing and reaping, I'm always going to sow value. So when I make some money, I tend to give away some money. I buy, I invest in another business. I do something. I may even send a donation to a business. It's just something that I'm going to do because I know it's going to be returned to me. When you operate in the law of sowing and reaping, you will always obtain value when you are sowing value consistently. I sow value with my words. I sow value with my thoughts. I sow value with my energy. I sow value with my actions. You understand? That can work on the other end of that as well. If you sow negative actions, if you sow all of these things, you will get back to you what you return. But if you're not willing to give up what's in your hand, if you're not willing to give up what's in your hand, how can it ever be multiplied? How can you receive what it is that you really want to receive? So like I said, it's 3 levels of money. And if you aspire to be able to keep money flowing in, you want to sit on the 3rd level. You don't want to sit on the 2nd. You want to sit on the 3rd level of that, where you're sowing consistently. If you were, and I'm telling you, the principle works every single time. I've never been in a space where I didn't sow and I didn't receive. And the thing about it is you can't, and also when I'm saying the sowing and receiving, you have to detach from the outcome. So you can't be out here like, oh, I'm giving you this. This is why I don't believe in borrowing money. I don't believe in borrowing money. I don't believe in giving anything that you have a requirement for it to come back to you. This is why I believe it says in scripture that you are the lender, not the borrower. Because one, if you can't give cheerfully, if you can't give your time cheerfully, if you can't give your energy cheerfully, if you can't give your attention cheerfully, if you can't give your money cheerfully, you don't need to give it at all. And you can't give cheerfully if that's your last $20. See, some of y'all be giving y'all last 20, 200, all this type of money to people to prove that you're a good person, to prove how down you are, to prove how supportive you are, and you looking crazy when you can't get it back. Then you reveal yourself. You weren't cheerful when you give that. The reason why it tells you in scripture to be a cheerful giver, because whatever a man give, whatever a man sows, you shall reap. So if you give cheerfully, you're going to be able to receive in that same type of energy. But you cannot give cheerfully if you're not in the position to do so. So stop doing it and stop allowing people to guilt trip you and make you feel bad about that. I ain't giving nothing that I'm going to be concerned or worried about. If I give something and I do it out, because one of the things that we do, like, there's really, like, in my family, especially in my siblings, like, if something is happening, somebody needs something immediately, hey, is this happening? Boom, we giving it. There is no when I'm getting this back, whenever. The reality of the situation is, if something happens down the line and I need something, I know exactly where I can go. I can go to my community, and I'm always going to be sewn back into. And let's just say for something happens, I give something to a sibling and they can't give it back to me. Guess what? Because I gave cheerfully, somebody on the street might make a payment. Somebody may call me and say, hey, I want to invest in your program. I have had things like that. I have had things like that happen to me all the time. I have literally gotten $1,000 payment and then turn around and given $100 and blessed somebody, and then turn around and gotten a $2,000 payment. Whatever you sow, you are going to reap. And that's what you have to understand, especially when it comes down to money. So if you are afraid, if you want to make money and you're afraid to spend money, or to not even spend money, invest, because you have to develop an investor mindset. Every single thing that you are investing your time, your energy, your attention, and your money into is an investment. You need to be asking yourself, what is going to be the ROI? Is this a wise investment? A lot of people talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, but nobody talks about the fact that she was into real estate. Y'all did catch the part where it says she scopes out the land before she buys the land, which means she had a bag, right? She had her own bag. You know why she was able to be so joy and to be a joy to her husband and to do everything that she needed to do for her family? Because she understood the power of delegation, support, and having her own bag. Yeah. Sis was into real estate. Sis had her own business. Sis was not doing it by herself. She had people working for her. She was doing the things that she needed to do so she can flourish in the roles that she valued the most, which was being herself, woman, number 1, number 2, being wife, and number 3, being mom. Okay? Which is why even when I talk to my clients about business, the way I do business is like this. It's God, family, business. God, family, business. Just like I tell you, like the week that my father passed away, y'all didn't see me. Why? Because it's God family business. I didn't do any work that week, but I still closed big deals. Money was still coming in. Why? Because it's God family business. So you have to understand you have to figure out what's going to work best for you, and you have to be very, very, very honest about that. And you want to be able to enjoy the fruit of your labor. So stop holding on to money. Stop focusing solely on getting money. Make sure that you are sowing money into the right spaces, and you will always have money. Period. Okay? So let's get into the fact of how this impacts the woman who is admired by many and how she's kind of crashing behind closed doors. Let's talk a little bit about how this gets into her relationships. She tends to be the woman who overfunctions for men who underfunction. See, she's the one who is doing everything where he is underperforming, and he's kind of breadcrumbing. He's able to give like the bare minimum of things. Okay? She either also attracts projects or performers. She attracts projects or performers. Because here's the thing, you pride yourself on being this CEO. You pride yourself on being this type of woman. You pride yourself on being that. So you attract people who need help. Projects. And you attract people who perform, who like to stun and act like they already have that going on. And they want to use your energy. They want to use your time. They want to use your resources. They want to use everything you have to fuel their dream, even though they're slick scam artists because they're performers. But the woman who tends to present herself like that, that is what you are calling into your space. That is what you entertain. And it's because you how can I say this? It's because you've never truly been received by the masculine. You've only been tolerated or utilized. Ooh, that's a hard one to hit. A lot of women don't realize that. A lot of women have never truly been received and held in the relationships that they have been in. They have only been tolerated and they have only been utilized. And that is a horrible feeling, to be tolerated and to be utilized in a sense, because when you're no longer able to be used, the person is going to go on and use someone else. But see, this is what happens when you, again, don't understand your innate value. When you don't understand your innate value, you will settle for experiences that are beneath you. And I'm going to support you in the 3 laws that you're violating, because everything that I teach, of course, is rooted in scripture and is backed up by science. So I'm going to tell you the laws that you're violating spiritually that keep you in a position of calling these type of experiences into your space. Okay. Hi, loves. Thank y'all so much for these follows. It's 3 laws specifically. Number 1, and I'm going to tell you the scripture that is rooted in, so you can go and look this up for yourself. I'm a nerd, so I dissect scripture and I dissect science. So all of the things really that are in the scripture really are backed up by science. And so even if you are not a believer and you just are like, oh, I don't, child, one thing I can tell you is that you can't violate spiritual law and you can't violate scientific law. And a lot of women are in violation of spiritual law. A lot of women are in violation of scientific law, which is why you're getting the results that you're getting. Okay? Perfect example of that, your body cannot process processed food because, and I used to be 100 pounds heavier, your body cannot process processed food because your body runs on a program. So you have a whole internal universe that's running on the inside of you. And the things that you eat go towards your organs if these are the things you're supposed to eat, if you're eating according to the program. If you're eating carrots and you're eating things with beta carotene in it, it is going to support your liver health, right? The liver has over 300 functions in the body. One of my modalities is that I'm an energetic psychology practitioner, which basically means that I understand how your emotions impact your organs. So I can tell you your grudge against your baby daddy is ruining your liver, whether you realize it or not. And what I also can tell you is that when you look at clients who have diabetes, especially like type 2 diabetes, and they start going blind, it's because why? Because the liver is where the issue is coming in, because the liver is responsible for supplying nourishing blood to your eyes. So if you have someone in your life who is having issues around diabetes and their sight is acting up, that is liver. That is your liver screaming. Okay, so these are the things that we have to pay attention to. And diabetes basically works in a system, it attacks certain organs until eventually it gets to the space of the heart. And these are the things that we really have to pay attention to that are very important. A lot of the illnesses and different things that come about in our life come from us not having regulated nervous systems. And the reason why we don't have regulated nervous systems is because we're not rooted in truth. We're not rooted in reality. We're not rooted in the truth of ourselves. Like I said the other day, when you understand your position, you play your position. A lot of women don't understand their position, so they don't play their position. They play positions that actually put them in harm's way or that send them to early demise. Okay. And these are the things that we have to stop doing. So I'm going to give you some examples, but let's get into these laws first and I'm going to break them down. So the first law is the law of division before dominion. Okay. And that's rooted in Genesis 1:4, which basically says that the Most High divided the light from the darkness. One of the first things that the Most High said was, let there be light. Most people get caught up in the let there be light, but they miss what this really is. That is the first boundary that was ever set. So when women come to me and say that they struggle with boundaries, I have to tell them that boundaries is in your DNA. You literally have boundaries around your heart that protect your heart. So you were created with boundaries. So because you lack the boundaries, because you don't understand that there is a separation between light and dark, beloved, and you want to just mix in with anything and everyone, you can't lead with clarity. Why? You can't lead with clarity if you have not divided what is divided from what is draining you. See, you're still loyal to environments you've outgrown. That's misalignment. Misalignment makes you sick. You're still entertaining men who confuse you emotionally. The Most High is not a God of confusion. You keep praying for clarity while tolerating chaos. All of these things come from you not being able to set boundaries because you don't understand the law of division before dominion. In order for you to rise up, in order for you to elevate, in order for you to be in a space of doing the things that you are assigned to do, you're going to have to get rid of some things and you're probably going to have to get rid of some people. But because you don't want to do that, you continue to sit in the dark and you continue to not advance and to not get the clarity that you are looking for because you simply will not exit the room. Because you are afraid of being by yourself. I'll give you another example of the law of division before dominion, because it tells you in scripture that you have dominion, which means that you have your own lane, you have power. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. But because you won't get dominion over yourself, you can't have dominion in the world, which means your business is not doing what it needs to do. You're not stepping in the fullness. You feel hella confused. You're not fulfilled in this life. And it's because you're maneuvering the way that you're maneuvering. Hi, lovey. So let's give just a bit of a real example of the law of division before dominion. Let's just say you left the relationship, but you still answer his text. Why? Why? You said he was horrible. You said that, I don't want to be mean. This fool almost left you for dead. You don't want to be mean? Who said you had to be mean? Being mean would require you to, have to even respond? Who said you even have to respond? Why are you still participating in experiences that drained you? You said he drained the life out of you. It's not making sense that you still answer his text. It's not making any sense. Okay? You blocked him, but you still checking his stories. What are you doing? What's going on? See, and I'm going to be very honest. I was having a conversation with a guy friend of mine, and I was explaining to him how another guy that I had dated for a little bit, I had cut him loose, right? And he didn't believe that I was gonna cut him loose, so he just kept trying to come back around, and I gave him nothing. He got dust from me every single time. And so I asked my homeboy, I was like, why is it that men think I'm playing when I say I will never talk to you again? Because I am definitely the type. I will never talk to you again, baby. You violate me. Because I'm not a person you have to violate. Because number one, I'm afraid of the Most High, so I'm not going to violate you. I ain't going to violate you because I'm not going to violate spiritual law because I understand the consequences of spiritual law. So I'm very careful on how I deal with people. Very, very, very careful. Right? Because I'm held accountable because spiritually I know better. So why is it that, I was just explaining, I was like, why is it that they think I'm playing? Like I'm not. And this is exactly what he said. He said, it's not that we think that y'all are playing. It's that we don't believe you. Because so many women say one thing and then come right back and do another thing. And my response was, well, I hate that for them. Because only a dog will return to its vomit. See, y'all need to get into the scripture. It tells you only a dog would return to its own vomit. Like a fool. would return back. Why would you turn back around? See, that's why I understand the whole spinning the block thing. It's too much like eating your own vomit. What exactly are you spinning the block for? If this was the most horrific scenario that you've ever been in, how are they able to spin around on you? How? Why was there no divide? Why are you still checking this man's stories? Because you're still competing. Like, cut it. Cut it. You quit the job, doing the same thing. You quit the job, but you still replaying the trauma. They did me so wrong at that job. They did this. They did this. Are you done or aren't you? I'm like Birdman back then. Are you finished or are you done? Because if you're going to continue to be in a space, or you're going to make a decision to be done with something, you shouldn't be consistently bringing it up. This is exactly why I stand on this next point I'm going to say. This is why I tell women, if you choose to stay with a man in a space where he has cheated on you, or he has not been faithful to you, and you choose to stay with him, I'm a person that's going to say, ain't no point to keep bringing it up if you staying. I'm not a fan of that. Some people will stay in scenarios just to be able to bring things up and to try to torture you because they want you to feel supposedly whatever it is that they felt when you inflicted whatever pain on them. If it was really that painful, release them to themselves. Because who are you to try to torture somebody? Who are you to try to torture somebody? Who are you to try to make this experience like this with somebody when you choosing to be in that space? That makes absolutely no sense. So if you're not leaving, you might as well be quiet with all the complaining about whatever is happening in your experience, because you're not changing anything. You're not changing anything, so it's no point of complaining about it. And if you're going to accept a person, then you're accepting them. So it's no point of continuously holding something over their head. It absolutely makes no sense. If you're done with something, be done with it. And that's the problem, because that's why men don't believe us. Because we don't stand on business for real. We don't. Men don't believe us, and then they meet a woman like me. Then they meet a woman like me who is only going to tell you one time. You meet a woman like me who's only going to express it one time, and then the second time I'm going to show you my actions. And baby, there's not even going to be room for a third time because I don't have time. Because if you don't catch on, we're not playing this game. Learn to stand on business. Women don't stand on business with men because you don't stand on business with yourself. You don't honor your own commitment to go to the gym like you say you was going to the gym. You don't honor your own commitment by showing up saying, I'm going to post content so I can do what I need to do with my business. So therefore, if you don't stand on business with yourself, I don't expect for you to stand on business with anyone else, because how you do one thing is how you do all things. You can play them games with somebody else. I know better. Just like I know if you're impulsive when it comes down to eating, you're impulsive when it comes down to spending, and you're impulsive with your relationship with men. All those things are very much so connected, whether you realize it or not. Like I said, and this is the bottom line of the first law, the law of division before dominion. You cannot have dominion over your life if you have not divided from dysfunction. Hi, Joseph. If you have not divided from dysfunction, you're not going to have dominion over your life, which means you're never going to have power in your own life. You're going to be powerless in your own life. And that is absolutely insane. You need sacred separation before you can carry sacred leadership. A lot of you want to be in positions when you're not ready to drop people out. Some of y'all want to be wives. I don't mean no shade, no harm. I'm going to keep it real with you. Some of y'all friends are the reasons why y'all not wives. Some of your friends, some of your good girlfriends are the reason why you are not a wife. And that's just the truth. Because you are staying connected to people who really are jealous of you, who really are envious of you, who really don't like you. And anytime something happens in that experience and you're thinking you're going to share, they're going to secretly sabotage that experience because they don't want you to have that. Because you're not surrounded with people or around people who actually value being better. See, if you're not around a person who is interested in evolving and growing and wanting to be better and wanting to get better, then why would you think they want you to be better? Why would you think in your mind that they would want you to be better if they don't want better for themselves? A lot of people enjoy you and they want you to do good, but they don't want you to do better than them. Some of you are in these spaces and you don't have what you want because of the people you have around you. The Most High can't even put the beautiful thing that you want in your hand because you're going to turn around and try to give it to somebody that's really your enemy. Or you're going to try to turn around and share it with somebody you don't know how to discern properly, so you can't receive. You need sacred separation before you can carry sacred leadership. Like I said, you cannot have dominion over your own life if you have not divided from dysfunction. The second law that you need to pay attention to, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, the law of sowing and reaping. Okay? The law of sowing and reaping is rooted in Galatians 6 and 7, which basically says, whatever a man sows, she shall reap. Whatever a woman sows, she shall reap. And let me tell you what a lot of you have been sowing. You've been sowing emotional neglect. You've been sowing nervous system chaos. You've been serving people-pleasing patterns while expecting peace, profit, and partnership. Ain't that crazy? I'm going to say that again. A lot of you have been sowing emotional neglect. You don't take care of your own emotions. You don't take care of your own heart. You are in heavy violation, of Proverbs 4 and 23, where it states, guard your heart above everything else because from it flows life. You won't guard your own heart. You won't guard your own heart, but you talking about something. I put my heart in your hands. Are you crazy? You put your trust in the girl. You can't be serious. I gave you my heart. Ma'am, you didn't take good care of your heart. What are we talking about right now? You gave your heart to a clown. Well, I didn't know he was a clown at first. One thing about a clown, eventually the red nose shows up. All you got to do is be patient. Men are not that, they are not that amazing when it comes down to manipulation and this and that to where they fooling you. Most women lie to themselves. A man ain't even got to fool you. Because here's the truth. Nobody can play you without your permission, participation, or the fact that you simply are not paying attention. And if you're not paying attention to yourself, you're going to always get played, which is the number one key thing that happens with a lot of women. You spend so much time focusing your attention on the man, on this, on that, and you're not focused on yourself and your needs. And guess what? You're emotionally neglecting yourself. Therefore, you attract emotional neglect. Your nervous system likes chaos, so therefore, your nervous system gets introduced to chaos all the time in your relationships. You got people-pleasing patterns, so you cooking and cleaning and cleaning and cooking and sucking and licking and doing everything, trying to obtain this man because you want to please him so you can be chosen. But see, this is what you do when you don't choose yourself. You wait to be picked. When you don't pick yourself, you sit around and wait to be picked. You know, when I was a little girl, I loved the game of dodgeball. I loved the game of dodgeball. And I always wanted to be one of the captains when we was playing dodgeball. You want to know why? Because I do the picking and the choosing. You understand? Because I knew then, even as a little girl in the 5th and 6th grade, I do the picking and the choosing. I need to be the one in the back where I'm able to assess and see who would be the best player and who would be the best one to be in position. I know Johnny run fast. I know she quick and she can catch the ball. I know this and I know that. I do the picking and the choosing. Me. You understand? And when you understand that you do the picking and the choosing, you don't wait around to get picked. You don't wait around to get chosen. You don't wait around for any of that, beloved. You do the picking and the choosing. And a lot of you need to start doing the picking and the choosing. And it starts with you picking yourself. People pleasing is a spiritual violation. It's a spiritual violation because you cannot please people and please the Most High. You're going to have to make a decision, baby. You're going to have to make a decision, beloved. And I hope you choose well. Because people ain't never satisfied. You ain't never satisfied. So why do you think other people, I've done everything for you and you still not satisfied? You're not satisfied yourself. So what are we doing here? What are we actually looking for? Okay? So again, you've been sowing emotional neglect. You've been sowing nervous system chaos. You've been serving people-pleasing patterns. Okay? And you expecting profit, peace, and partnership. And that's not the way this works at all. Let me put you on game in some real life examples of what you may be doing. You are over giving to everyone around you, and you wonder why nobody pours back into you. The people who give the most receive the least. Hear what I'm telling you. Hear what I'm telling you and pay attention very closely to what I'm telling you. The one who gives the most receives the least. So if you are in relationship, in any form of relationship, okay, I'm gonna break this down in a couple of different ways. If you are the one in a romantic relationship who is giving and pouring and doing everything and fighting for your relationship and doing all that, you are the one who is receiving the least. I know this. And you know how I know this? Thank you, my love. Because it's science. Because I told you everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. So if you are the one who is always giving of your energy and giving of your time and giving of your resources and giving of your money, what that lets me know is that you are in violation of the conservation of energy principle, which means that you use your energy, because energy is never wasted. You use your energy to fuel the destination of someone else. You use your energy, whether you pour it into your children, whether you pour it into a man, whether you pour it into a corporate system that you're working for. You use your energy to fuel the destiny and the dreams of other people because you don't trust yourself with your own. You don't have the belief and the faith enough to trust yourself to walk out what you need to do. So you put it in everybody else and you find your pride and your joy and your glory and you raising your children the way that you did. And when your children get grown and they grow up and they get their own lives and they're not with you all the time, you want to guilt trip them or not about not being around because you gave them so much as if they asked to be here. Much like when you give so much in these relationships and the man says, I didn't ask you to do all that. Did he? Yeah, but no, he didn't ask, but I mean, it's just common. But did he ask for that? See, one thing about the masculine that the feminine really has to understand, and that the feminine understands that women need to understand who are not in their feminine. Men don't value what they don't invest in. Men don't value things that they didn't ask for. So when you are doing things to try to be nice, you're really not doing that for them. You're doing that for your ego. You're doing that for another reason. And you need to figure out why you feel the need to have to do something to get approval. Or why you have to do something to make somebody else happy when happiness is an inside job. When happiness is a personal experience, a personal choice. Okay? So this is extremely important and extremely, extremely valuable for you to really understand. You got to understand this and grasp this or you're going to exhaust yourself into oblivion, okay? How about what a woman says? I don't know what you mean. You have to clarify that question. So if you wonder why nobody is pouring back into you, it's because you're not sowing in alignment. You're sowing approval. The Most High is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, you shall reap. The harvest always tells the truth about the seed. You cannot tell us that you have been working out, you have been on a plan, eating nutritiously counting your macros, and when we see you, you look the same every 6 months. We don't believe you. We don't believe you. Because the harvest always tells the truth about the seed. You have not been sowing into the becoming the best version of yourself because it is not evident. Because consistency breeds results. If you consistently eat processed food for a year, just like you see those people, thank you, my love, for these gifts. Looks like you see those people who do those experiments, or I'm eating McDonald's or whatever for 30 days, or I'm eating this for this. If you eat that food for that time frame, you're going to see some damage happen to your organs. Just like if you shift and you eat healthy and you eat clean, you're going to see some shifts in changing your organs. The fruit don't lie, baby. The fruit never lies. It's always going to tell the truth on you. The fruit is the results of your energetics. And let me explain something to you. Men lie, women lie. Numbers can be crunched and data can be skewed. But your energetics, baby, your energetics is always going to tell the truth. And it's always going to tell the truth on you. And I mean that. Energy does not lie. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred or transmuted. Okay? Transferred or transmuted. That's it. And a lot of women transfer their energy into fueling the destinies of other people. And then they become, when they're left destitute, they're depressed. When they're left destitute, they become bitter. And as a woman, you have two choices. Either you're going to become better or you're going to become bitter. But it's going to be at the hands of what you choose for yourself. Okay? So again, that's the law of sowing and reaping. If you've been sowing these things and you're not getting a return on your investment, it's probably because you're not sowing in alignment. You're sowing for approval or applause or, for performance. And you don't just do this in one area of your life, you do this across the board. Let's get into the third law that a lot of women are violating, and why they're kind of silently crashing behind closed doors in these experiences. It's the law of double-mindedness. Like I just told y'all when I was talking to my homeboy and I was telling him, why do men think I'm playing when I say I'll never talk to you again? Because I'm totally not kidding, and I really will never talk to you again. I don't care. And he was just saying, he was like, it's not that I don't think we think you playing, it's that we don't believe you, because most women will say one thing and then be right back there doing the same thing. And I said, oh, well, sucks to be them, because when they meet me, I'm not going for that. And a lot of women do that because they are double-minded. And let's go ahead and talk about double-minded, because it talks about it in James 1:11. This is what this law is rooted in. It's the law of double-mindedness. A double-minded woman is going to be unstable in all of her ways. You flip between being soft, so-called soft, which is really a performance, to so-called savage. And this is for the ones who are truly lover girls at heart, but you're trying to act like you're trying to take the advice of people who are telling you to operate from a savage nature, and that's not really who you are. And you wonder why the flip-flop doesn't work for you. You wonder why when you bounce from soft and bounce to savage, why you're not getting the experience that you desire, because you are double-minded. And that is the energy that you're putting out into the universal algorithm. The universe is an algorithm created by the Most High. It is the largest responder. So when they say, yeah, put it in the atmosphere, say this, that's very true. You need to be very, very careful with that, because you need to grasp and understand that you being double-minded is not working out in your favor when it comes down to the life that you want. She said, I love the fact that you always use the word to back it up. Absolutely. Everything is rooted in scripture, backed up by science. So if you are a double-minded woman, you flip between the fake soft and the savage routine. You fake the femininity and bounce between the femininity and the hyper-independent. You bounce between being available, then trying to turn around and be avoidant. These are things that you're doing. You are double-minded. You are confused. To be double-minded, let me explain what that means. To be double-minded is to deny your spiritual nature. That means you are in a fight with your spiritual nature and your human nature. You are a spirit being having a human experience. And when you are in a state of being double-minded, that means that you are fighting with your spirit based on your human experience, whatever is occurring in your human experience at that time. That's what it means to be double-minded, because the spirit you knows the truth. The human you is the one who's battling based on what is being shown to them, what's being observed, and whatever, which is why you find yourself in a state. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Why people find themselves in a state of lack when it comes down to money. So you're listening to the news tell you that there's no money, everything is high, da 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 da. That's what you're listening to. But the truth of you knows that the Most High will supply all of your needs according to his riches and glory. The truth of you understands that the Messiah came to give you life and give you life abundantly. The truth of you understands that there is no such thing as lack. But because you are allowing your human experience to override, you are in battle with self, and therefore you are double-minded. And if you are double-minded in that space right there, the spirit and the human experience, emotionally, you're not going to be any good, which is why you keep going back and forth between that man. That's why you keep going back and forth, doing that toxic thing you've been doing for years with that man. Because you're double-minded, sweets. Because you're fighting with your spiritual nature. You're fighting against your spiritual nature. You're fighting against what actually is the best for you. Because you believe, based on what you see, even though you ain't supposed to be walking by sight. You know you ain't supposed to be walking by sight. This is what you know. But here you go walking by sight, which is creating the mindset of lack. Hi, lovey. Which is positioning you to worry and to overthink, which is keeping you stuck in a space that you're not even supposed to be in. All because you're in violation of spiritual law, because you are being what? Double-minded. Fighting with your spirit. Fighting with your spirit over your human experience, when your human experience is the secondary element of who you are. The first element of who you are is your spirit being. Okay? And this is what we miss. So let's give some examples of the law of double-mindedness in in actual action and what this looks like. You say you want a man to lead, but you never stop performing. I want a man to come in and lead and take me out of my masculine responsibilities, which is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen in my entire life or heard in my entire life, because no man can put you or take you in, put you in or take you out of your feminine nature. You are feminine by design. You either are going to align with that feminine design or you're going to fight against it. And if you fight against it, coming from somebody who know you might have some womb issues. Ding, 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 ding. See, because I used to have womb issues 20 years ago, sitting in the doctor's office. Oh, you have polycystic ovarian. I'm crying my eyes out, baby. Because what is that? What is that? I'm crying my eyes out. What is that? At 20 years old, I'm 41, sitting before you. I don't have it. My cycles are not heavy or not hard. My cycle don't last no more than 4 days unless I done did something wrong. I ain't got no kind of perimenopause and none of that other stuff going on. Because when you get into alignment with yourself and you stop performing, you stop finding your identity in what you do, and you focus on who you are, and you cultivate the character of who you are. The power as a woman is in your being, not in your doing. You're a human being, not a human doing. You understand? Society trains you to be a human doing. Notice in scripture how everybody got here. We was human beings. Everything is always rooted in how you be. This is the thing that we are missing. But you're so focused on what you do. First question, society is trained, what do you do? And here you go identifying yourself in what you do and forgetting about who you are, which is one of the greatest spells of all time. One of the greatest aspects of sorcery of all time is being able to trick humans into becoming human doings instead of human beings. Which is why we don't know how to be. We don't know how to sit back. We don't know how to rest because we don't know how to be. Imagine not knowing how to be while being a human being. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. It's insanity. So you say you want a real man, you want a man to lead, but you never stop performing. You always feel like you need to do all these things. You say you want rest, but you punish yourself anytime you pause because you're being lazy. You are not unstable because you lack talent. You're unstable because you keep switching identities between, which depends on who's watching. Some of y'all have a different identity in front of y'all parents. Some of y'all have a different identity when you go to work. Some of you had a different identity when you're dealing with men. Thank you, my love. Enjoy your day. And wearing these faux identities is slowly choking you out, stressing you out. And as many of us learned during the pandemic, the longer you wear a mask, the harder it is for you to breathe. So the real you is being smothered because you keep putting on these personas. You keep putting on these identities. You keep putting these things on. You're not sure of who you are without applause, without people telling you that. And I talk about this. I haven't said a lot of this year, but I'm not a fan of women asking other women, how do I look? I'm not a fan of asking men, how do I look? You should not have to ask somebody. And I'm get you to understand this. You should not have to ask anyone how you look in a dress. You should not have to ask anyone how you look. Do you look beautiful? Here's why you should not have to ask that. Number one, you should be rooted in the truth of yourself. Number one, if you believe that you're beautifully and wonderfully made, nobody can take you out of that. There's not a person, a soul on this earth who could say to me, you're ugly. The first thing I'm going to think is that you don't know yourself, because you would know that all the Most High's creations are beautifully and wonderfully made. So the fact that you are not in tune with the energy of self means that you are not qualified to speak on me. You're not qualified. You don't have the credentials. And the credentialing is simply being yourself and being rooted in the truth of yourself. And this is exactly why women like me who are believers, who are very rooted and well versed in scripture. This is why I don't argue with atheists. And I was having this conversation with my sister yesterday. I don't argue with atheists. I don't argue with hoodoo practitioners. I don't argue with voodoo practitioners. I don't argue with witches. I don't argue with any of things, because for me, there is no need. Not because I think I'm better, not because of any of that, because there is this beautiful thing called free will. And when you are really rooted in the scripture for real, the Most High never said in scripture for you to go out here arguing with people about scripture. See, that's where y'all got it confused. You were never told to go out here and argue with scripture. You were never told to go out here and force scripture on people's head and be Bible thumpers. You were not told to do that. You were told to be a walking example. You were told to be a walking temple. And guess what? When you are obedient and you are doing that, people will seek you out and ask you, what is it about you? What is in your life? What are you doing that you have joy amidst everything that's going on? How is it that you're able to consistently stay grounded with all of this going on? And then you get to articulate and speak to them about what your experience is. It's not about you forcing your experiences onto other people. That's why a lot of Christians get got when you start talking to atheists, because most atheists, they didn't already read the word that you ain't read. Most Christians don't read the word. See, that's the truth. Most Christians don't read the scripture for real. They don't. But you want to argue up and down about the Most High's existence, but you don't even know enough, and these people eat you with the very word that you claim that you live by. And this is why, again, like I said, that falls into the space of double-mindedness. Because who you trying to prove a point to? Who you trying to prove a point to? If you are rooted spiritually in the truth, then there is no need to argue the Most High's word. The Most High never asked for nobody to argue for him. No. When you even go back and you look at when the Messiah was on trial and they were trying to provoke the Messiah by saying certain things to the Messiah to get him to speak, he wouldn't even speak. He wouldn't even answer everybody. Y'all feel like y'all got to answer anybody. As soon as they say God is not real, you got to open your mouth and go do something. And you're not even really rooted in the truth. You're not even really rooted in the scripture. You just want to defend something. Looking crazy. A lot of women are in violation of the law of double-mindedness. You're not sure of who you are unless it's some type of approval, some type of applause, and something else going on. Nobody should be able to speak to you or on you so heavy to where it weakens you and it weighs you down. That happens when you don't know yourself and when you're not rooted in yourself and the truth of yourself. So those are the three laws right there. The law of division before dominion. Like I say, you need sacred separation before you can carry sacred leadership. If you are not willing to divorce, or not divorce, but divide from dysfunction, you will not have dominion in your life. The second law is the law of sowing and reaping that I talked about. Whatever a man sows, you shall reap. If you continue to sow emotional neglect, if you sow nervous system chaos and people-pleasing patterns, then guess what? You're not sowing into alignment. You're sowing for approval, and you're never going to get it. Because why? People don't have to approve you. People don't have to fool with you. And we as women, because a lot of us are really good at persuasion and getting people to do what we want them to do, you get pissed off when nobody wants to do what you want them to do. They got a right to tell you no. People who have an issue with the word no are the same women who have issues with saying no. See, you know why you got an issue with no? It's because you don't say no enough. Because if you said no enough, you'd be able to respect the power of no. You'd understand that no, a lot of times, is a saving grace. You'll understand that no is protection. But no, you don't want to see that. You want to try to maneuver and figure out how you can do what you want to do. And then when you get played, you want to be pissed off. Man, please. Please. The third law, the law of double-mindedness, rooted in James 1. A double-minded woman literally is unstable in all of her ways. You can't keep doing this flip-flop stuff and thinking somebody's going to trust you. A lot of you are shapeshifters. You're shapeshifters. And let me explain what a shapeshifter is because shape-shifting is a form of high-level sorcery. And let me explain what I mean. Because I know you're probably looking at it and thinking, oh, is it like actually changing your form? Yeah, it's changing your form. If you go into a scenario and you attract a man because you're a cool girl, you're chill, you don't care about this stuff, nothing really bothers you, you're this, you're that, he can do whatever and it's whatever. And then when he feel like you a chill girl and you actually get into a relationship with him and then you flip-flop and he says the chill girl is not good enough and you start altering yourself and you start changing yourself and you start changing your core, then guess what happens? You're changing who you are. You're altering who you are at core to try to please this person. And then when you realize that this person is never pleased and this person realizes that they don't like you because you shape-shifted for them even though they told you that's what they wanted and they leave you alone, then you want to be mad. You can't be mad at the person for recognizing that you're a shapeshifter. You have to get upset with yourself for changing your core. This is why I say to women all the time, be very careful of the woman who changes her form in front of men. A woman who would change her core or her form in front of a man while you were sitting there is the same woman that'll your throat behind one. That's what you better understand. The same woman who will alter her core, shift who she is, the minute that a man becomes present, is the same one that will your throat behind one. And that's what you better not forget. Most women are male-centered because we are trained and taught to compete mainly only for men. And if you don't believe me, why do you think they tell you things like, girl, you better take care of your man or somebody else will? Now you feel like you gotta perform. Why you just can't deal with a man that values fidelity instead of having to perform to keep him faithful? None of these things make any sense. None of these things make any sense. You don't perform. If you have to perform for a position, then you're not going to be able to keep that position because you're not a lifetime performer. Eventually that mask is going to choke you out, all that performing. Okay? So let's talk about what this looks like as far as in the mirror. Let me get a little deeper. What this looks like in the life of the woman who most people tend to admire, but she's literally suffering behind closed doors. With men, she performs emotional maturity just to keep his attention, but then she started crashing out after, and that's why he leave her alone. Shape-shifting. Some of y'all be cosplaying as sane people when in reality you're really not sane. Some of y'all be cosplaying as emotionally intelligent when you're really not that. Some of you be cosplaying girlfriend when you really want to be wife. And when you don't get what you want, you take the mask off. If you, and I'm just saying this, I never understood and I don't understand, if your desire is to be a wife, why do you settle for being a girlfriend? And I know somebody probably is going to jump and be like, well, how do you go from, there got to be that stage in the middle, like, before you get into marriage. You don't just up and marry somebody. Because I'm going to tell you like this. Whenever, should ever, I get married again, we going to go from being friends to being married. I don't do the girlfriend role. And the reason why I don't do the girlfriend role, one, is outside of my age, but I don't do the girlfriend role is because I don't audition. I don't audition for positions. And to me, when you're in that role, you're auditioning for a position because most women in that role really desire marriage. And you're cosplaying a girlfriend while doing things that an obligated wife would do. And then you're wondering, and this is the double-mindedness again. We in violation of the law of double-mindedness again. You really want to be the wife. You don't want to be the girlfriend. So you settle for being the girlfriend and cosplaying as the girlfriend while giving and doing things like an obligated wife. And wondering why you're confused and wondering why you're confused on why he's not giving you what you want. He's not going to give you what you want. My man got my ring in 4 months of knowing each other. That was 6 years ago, period. Because here's the thing about the masculine. When it comes down to commitment, they have to want commitment and they got to want it with you. If any one of those things are off, hang it up. Hang it up. And when a man is in that energy of he wants commitment and he wants it with you, he don't waste time. He don't waste time letting you know where he stands. Okay? Even if he, like she said, even if he gets the ring, let's just say 3 months in, he may not give it to you until the end of the year. He may not do whatever. But baby, when they're ready for commitment and they want commitment with you, they're going to go your pace. They're going to go your way. And they know what they're doing. They know exactly. If you're saying you need time, they're going to be patient with you. They're not going to rush you. But they know what they want. So these are the things that you have to pay attention to. We play ourselves by thinking that, oh, he don't know. You better stop cosplaying. Better stop cosplaying. Oh, my stomach growling, y'all. I'm about to eat after this. Better stop cosplaying. Can you talk about shape-shifting men, or is it the same? Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. Shape shifting. Oh shoot, shape shifting is shape shifting. If I meet you and you are one way, and you pride yourself on saying that you are this way. If I meet you and you say, "Oh my God, I'm the most honest person. I'm the realest ever. I'm this and I'm that. I'm this and I'm that," and then I get with you and you a liar. You used sorcery. You used deception. You're a Decepticon. Like, and it's the exact same thing when it comes down to women. With women, though, when men realize that they're dealing with a Decepticon, they leave. Women stay. They leave. Women stay. I don't know why. But, they roll on out. How do we break the role of sorcery? I'll get to you in just a second with that. I have something that'll be able to support you with that. Let's talk about what this looks like in men so I can wrap this up for y'all. You perform emotional maturity just to keep his attention. You start healing when he disappears. And then you abandon yourself when he returns. Yes, God, the self-care kings. I like it. Absolutely. Men always put themselves first, and I respect them for that. We could learn a lot from them. I learned to put myself first from men. I learned from men to put myself first. For real, first an example. Like, I learned, and I got it. Also with men, you confuse being chosen with being safe. When it comes down to money, you overspend to cope with or how can I say this? An undernourished spirit. That's why you keep spending. Because you're trying to find some type of release. Let's just say you hit a money goal and immediately you sabotage it from operating from the energy of survival. Somebody gives you a $10,000 payment to knock something out for them because this is your first $10,000 payment. You don't really think you're worthy to receive it, so you sabotage the project by not doing it properly, by not making sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. So you sabotage the experience and you position yourself to not get another experience. Okay? Another thing with money, you never feel safe keeping what you earn, so you can't hold it. The way you do it with your body is this. You use food to soothe what clarity should fix. I feel bad. Let me go get something sweet. What about I feel bad? Let's address why I feel bad. What about that? Instead of let me go get something sweet. You binge at nighttime because you weren't emotionally fed all day. You fluctuate in your body because you're fluctuating in your emotions. Okay? What you have to understand is that your issue is not discipline. And a lot of women think it's, I lack the discipline or I just don't have it. Your issue is not discipline. It's emotional dysfunction. That's just the truth. Your inconsistency is not your identity. Please stop saying I'm inconsistent because it's not your identity. It's just your current wiring of your nervous system. If you want to change your life, you have to reprogram your mind and you have to rewire your nervous system. The reason why you have to reprogram your mind is because belief impacts biology and biology influences the way you behave. And if you don't believe me, think about the last pregnancy scare you had. You really thought you was pregnant, huh? Till you took that test. All of a sudden you magically stopped throwing up. You stopped smelling the ocean in Japan. You stopped being sleepy when that test said negative. Why? Because you were never pregnant. But guess what? Your brain is so powerful that it believed that you were pregnant. So it emulated pregnancy symptoms that you had in your mind of what you thought pregnancy is. So the brain brought it to the forefront. You cannot play with beliefs. This is why you have to reprogram your mind. You have to reprogram your mind in order to execute. You have to rewire your nervous system in order to receive. A lot of you don't have the capacity or capability to receive the things you want because your nervous system is used to the trauma and the drama. And because you haven't rewired it, you're still struggling in that space, okay? You don't need another vision board. You don't need to be talking about, so I'm writing all this stuff in because I'm locked in. You need nervous system stability because that is what you are lacking, okay? That's why I created 2 key things. Finish what you start, which is still up there. It's $222. You can get a recliner firm and afterpay. Finish what you start is going to give you the science, going to give you can I talk? The physics of feminine follow through. Okay? If you want to rewire to execute the habits that keep collapsing. When you become emotionally unstable, then you want to get finished what you start. It's 222. You get a recliner firm and afterpay. I am teaching you how to use Newton's laws of motion to stop overthinking, because overthinking is rooted in lack and rooted in worry, and it's a lack of belief. If you can understand when you are overthinking, when you are in a space that you are sitting in a state of inertia, which is one of the first laws of Newton's laws of motion, where we're talking about the law of inertia, which basically states that when you're sitting, if something is sitting in the same spot, it's going to stay in the same state unless something is activated and changed. And then it goes into the law of forcing acceleration. Then it goes into the rest of the laws. So the thing is, I break down science. A lot of you are not completing things and executing things because you don't understand the science of yourself as a woman. And you have to understand that you don't work like men. You have to understand your internal physics. And when you understand your internal physics, you're going to be good. You can start using scientific law to elevate your life so you can be successful. Okay? The other thing that I have is the feminine authority vote. If you are in a state where you're wanting to master emotional, spiritual, and lifestyle alignment, then that you can actually hold in your next season, then you want the feminine authority vote. Okay? Because that's going to support you. That's going to be 500. You can get a recliner, firm, and afterpay. You don't need more prayer, because I'm tired of y'all playing with God too. You don't need more prayer. You need to regulate. You need to believe what the Most High said. Because a lot of you are all out here crying and talking to the Most High and saying, I want this, when everything you need is sitting right there in the scripture. You need to sit with it, and you need to let the code reveal itself to you, because the scripture is nothing but a book of codes that reveals itself to you, and it teaches you how to maneuver and manage as a spirit being having a human experience. Too many of you are stuck on the human experience, which is why you're not seeing thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. A lot of you are thinking that you're leaving here and then you're going to experience heaven. Y'all did y'all read the scripture? Because where the new heaven gonna be? Where heaven gonna be? On a new what? On a new what? Because last time I checked, it said earth. So a lot of you are waiting to experience heaven while praying a prayer that says, let your will be done as it is in heaven, on earth as it is in heaven. You literally can, that's basically saying you can call the power of heaven down into your experience. So why is it that you're waiting? What exactly is it that you're waiting for? You don't need another to-do list. You need to rewire your emotions. You need to rewire your emotions to move through your body. The Most High cannot bless who you pretend to be. And a lot of you are pretending to be something that you are not. You are exhausting from performing emotional safety. You are exhausting from this space, and you don't really have these things. You already know what you need to be doing, truthfully. But the problem is with a lot of women, you don't know how to hold that. And it's because you don't understand the spiritual aspects and you don't understand the scientific aspects, so you can't hold it. If you want to understand those things, if you want to know how to use spiritual law and scientific law to make sure that you execute, if you are a finisher, if you are a starter and you don't finish, if you are a person who you feel like you don't have control over your emotional responses, you're not a master of your emotions, then you want to look into these particular courses. If you are in a space where you know you need to be executing strong goals for Q4, you really need to get finished what you start. Because finish what you start is going to show you the physics of feminine follow through, and you need it. I'm trying to see if I don't know if it's on here though. It's a formula that you get. If I have the photo in my iPad, I'll show it to you. I think I might. It's called the physics of follow through, and I'm going to show you the right framework. Okay. So this is the physics of follow through framework that I have right here. And you learn about this in that particular course, Finish What You Start. So this right here is, number one is inertia awareness. Diagnose why you stall, why you freeze, and why you delay. When you come to class, you're going to find out why you keep being in a state of overthinking. This is for the overthinkers right here. This is where y'all be at, right here, chilling. Stuck, not doing nothing, not changing your life, doing the same thing over and over again, constantly ruminating over something that you can actually change. This formula is going to help you come out of that. So once you realize you're in a state of inertia, the second thing that has to happen is you have to disrupt the identity that you're trying to use. In that class, I supply you with 4 identities, because most women who struggle to complete things have a reactive emotional identity. So basically what that means is that you only do things when you react. You only level up when that man break up with you. You only go hard in your business because they fired you. You only do this because somebody pissed you off. See, you are operating from one of those identities that's not you. So what has to happen then? You have to figure out and uncover the execution identity that's driving your false start. You then have to go into a state of emotional rewiring, build the nervous system safety to move without emotional chaos. And then the last thing is energetic blueprinting, design your custom execution rhythm. You have to know these things so that you can get things done, because this is literally your science. If you want to thrive as a woman, you're going to need 3 things on this earth. You need to understand spiritual law. You need to understand the science of yourself. You need to understand the psychology of your generational lineage when it comes down to the women in your life. If you don't know these 3 things, you are bound to be living in survival mode and to consistently be a victim in your life, all your life. And that's just the truth. Okay? So it's extremely important that you really pay attention to that. That's basically all I have today. A lot of the women that y'all are admiring and you are paying attention to and you're chasing behind and trying to be like, they are suffering in silence. And I just told you what things and what areas are being violated, how they have signed these invisible performance contracts, and how you can come out of that if you are serious. If you want, and you're really, really serious, and you want to get this work, then click the link in the bio so that you can get access to Finish What You Start. Like I said, it's $222. You can get a recliner, firm, and afterpay. Finish What You Start after today is going into the Feminine Authority Vault. And the Feminine Authority Vault is $500. Finish What You Start is only $222. Hey, lovey, this is what you're going to get in the Finish What You Start. So just so you can get some clarity, because like I said, Finish What You Start is going away. Child is going away and is going into the vault. Into the feminine I can't even think, authority vault, and it's going in there at midnight. Okay, so this is what you're going to get in the feminine authority vault. If you don't know, number 1, you'll get feminine lifestyle mastery, which is the spiritual, biological, and psychological elements of your femininity. Somebody asked what I do for men. Men buy my products all the time. What I teach can be applicable to men and women with the exception of cycle syncing. So that's where things differ. But when it comes down to the physics and the framework, men can use that framework as well. Men have secretly worked with me behind closed doors and been able to triple their. I have one guy particularly, he's been able to triple his income. So everything that I teach, of course, my population that I work with is women, but men have bought my products and utilized them and been able to win. So yeah, I'll just leave that at that. But feminine lifestyle mastery is the first one you're going to get. The second thing you're going to get in that bundle is unveiling toxic femininity, break free from hidden patterns that are silently draining your emotional health and your bank account. The next thing that you're going to get, that thing just died. The next thing that you're going to get is master your emotions the feminine way, communication, boundaries, and self-accountability designed for feminine authority. The third course you're going to get is the Feminine Law and Order course, which is energetic management systems, universal laws, and spiritual stability to govern your reality. You're also going to get Serenity Glow. Serenity Glow is a very powerful course, and people have been begging for me to bring that back since 2022. And I decided to put it in the Feminine Authority Vault because it supports you in cultivating self-love, mindfulness, and vibrational balance for radiant living. If you struggle to manage your vibrational state, Serenity Glow will support you in that. It is a very, very powerful course, and it teaches you specifically how every single emotion that you are feeling impacts disease and illness. I give you a specific list from Louise Hayes that breaks down everything, okay? In that, I just gift you that. I give you where you're able to see what these illnesses, what the root cause of them, and what's happening spiritually with you. And it's true. It is very, very true, okay? So, Serenity Glow is amazing. And I also give this affirmations training. And the affirmations training is the actual formula for affirmations that hit, stick, and rewire your results. When it comes down to affirmations, you need to know the difference between affirmations and declarations. That's number 1. Declarations are what the Most High said, let there be light. That's a declaration, right? Affirmations, declarations command power. Affirmations affirm power or affirm an experience. You can't affirm power if there's no power that's been declared. So declarations have to come first. And so I break down clearly, like in the affirmations training, like what this looks like. You have to be in the right vibrational state and all of that. So the value of this bundle itself is about $2,000, and you get it for $500. You can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. So if you are wanting to regulate your emotions instead of being ruled by them, if you want to build boundaries that don't collapse when they're tested, if you want to govern your reality with law and order and not hustle with survival, and if you want to replace chaos with serenity, glow, magnetic presence, and lastly, if you want to anchor your lifestyle into a space to where it reflects your true feminine design, then the feminine authority vault is going to be the one for you. Okay, you can get that with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. Somebody was asking me earlier, what do I have currently right now? That is what I have currently right now until my next masterclass, where I'm talking about the sun clocks and the moon clocks, and I have my programs. Okay, so what questions do you guys have for me? And I can answer those really quickly before I get off here. What questions do you guys have for me in regard to what we talked about today? Please, 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 women, be very careful. Be very careful. Because some of y'all are about to make some serious decisions that are going to impact your life. Some of you don't trust yourselves and don't trust your ability. And you're going to find yourself doing things that you don't need to do. A lot of women are going to marry so they can survive. Not because it's true, authentic connection or any of that. A lot of women are going to be doing things and putting themselves in positions so they just can survive. And what I'm telling you is that you don't have to live like that if you tap into Proverbs 8 and 12. You know, you have creative and witty inventions in your very being, which means that you really should never be broke, because you always have things. Because these gifts will literally make room for you. But if you're not tapped into these gifts, they cannot make room for you. You will feel like you are helpless and like you need to sacrifice yourself. And you'll feel like you need to use your body to be able to get stability. It's going to be a high increase in SW workers. It's going to be a high increase in women just getting married just so they can survive. And when you put yourself in positions like that, it's a higher chance that you can become prey. Be very, 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 very careful in this season walking around here as a woman. You need discernment. If you don't know how to discern, you need to get the magnetic wealth blueprint, baby. Because loving the nervous system is in there, and it'll help you. You should not be out here dating. You should not be out here maneuvering if you do not know how to discern. We are in dangerous times. It's a lot of stuff that's not being said, and a lot of stuff I can't say on this app. But pay attention. Pay very, very, very close attention, okay? I don't see any questions, so I'm going to let y'all go. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing, amazing weekend. Happy Feminine Friday. I had to speak on this Feminine Friday on the woman who is admired. Be very careful about the women that you are putting on pedestals. Be very careful of the women that you are admiring, because a lot of these women are crashing behind closed doors and they're not living the lives that you think that they are living. Be careful about these experiences and do not idolize people or anyone. Yes, I do have a private group. It's called the Muse Activator. And I also do one-on-one private coaching, executive coaching for women who are in high-level corporate. So yes, I do. I have those options. If you're interested in those things, you would have to DM me. One of the things that the private group that I have is the Muse Activator. That program is $2,000. You can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. And it is an amazing program for women who want to activate their inner muse, because I believe that all women are muses. And when I say that you live in the UK, how do you join? Okay, I got you. Click the link in the bio where it says Muse Activator, and you will scroll all the way down. And once you scroll all the way down, you're going to see the links of how you can join. Hey, lovey. And you can join that way. Okay. And I've had a couple of clients to come in from the UK, so we would love to have you. We would love to have you. But you can click the link in the bio to learn more about the Muse Activator and my one-on-one programs, and the ways that I can support you. And I actually want to come out to the UK, so yes, I'm always very interested when I see UK, and I've had some Australia. I just had a multitude of people, so I'm really excited about that. What other questions do you guys have for me before I get off here? Y'all just be careful, y'all. Stop putting these people on pedestals. Stop putting with these women on pedestals, putting these men on pedestals, put anyone on pedestals, because you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and a lot of people are struggling and suffocating behind closed doors while presenting a different image to you. And you really should be careful of that. Be careful about where you're investing, the way you spend your money, everything. You should have an investor mindset. You should be seeking results. You should be seeking these amazing things. Okay? Don't get fooled. Don't get scammed because you in your feelings. Okay? Y'all be getting too emotional and making decisions and then be like somebody scammed y'all. No, y'all just weren't paying attention. You just weren't paying attention, sweetheart. It was there the whole time. It was all there. Okay? All right, guys. That is it for me. I'm about to get off here. Sasha, I'll make sure about to send you a message to check on you, because I meant to check on you. Yes, thank you, Rocky. Thank you, Rocky. But yes, y'all, please click the link in the bio. Sign up for my Substack if you love reading. If you are a reader and you want to become a free or a paid member of my Substack, feel free to go over there. I give out a lot of information, a lot of stuff that I don't say on here, I secretly say in my paid letters to my community. So if you really want some activations and some different things, then come on over to Substack. Click the link in my bio to get access to my email list. If you get on my email list, in my first email, I give you a gift. So go into my email list and make sure that you sign up. Okay? So yeah, really excited. Avid reader. Then you would love it over there on Substack. My Substack letters are hitting. I don't know where I am now, but I had gotten to like 65, number 65 in faith and spirituality. So I do a lot of talking about divine economy, divine currency, sacred feminine currencies, and all these things. So it's for the woman who wants to remember and really dive deep. It's basically like a space where you can come and do like reading. So like newsletters, you can post videos over there, you can post audio. I'm gonna start posting some more audio because I have a lot of conversations and stuff I be wanting to upload, and so I'm gonna start doing that. Because I love Substack so much. Your articles on Substack are so good. Thank you, boo. Yours are too. Yours are too. Y'all, please go follow Sasha. If you're having issues with fibroids and womb health issues, Sasha is that girl. But don't go over there unless you're really ready to do that work. Don't go over there unless you're really ready to stop solely relying on Western medicine. Don't go over there with your speculations and all these things. Go in there with an open mind. Go over there ready to do their work. She has helped hundreds of women in the area of them getting pregnant, you know what I'm saying, older women, in the areas of like helping women really heal their fibroids and heal a multitude of other things. So go over there and make sure that you go follow her. Hey, my lovey. And look, and while you at it, go over there and follow Eli is where you see her womb wealth framework. She helps women specifically when it comes down to endometriosis. So go over there. Women are battling with endometriosis and fibroids like crazy. And these two women, and I'm talking about Eli and Sasha, those two women have both been through those experiences and have healed their bodies. Sasha has healed from fibroids. Eli has healed from endometriosis and amongst a multitude of other things. So go over there and follow those women so you don't have to suffer in silence. That's another thing. A lot of these women who sitting at the top like that in these spaces in corporate, y'all be the main ones with womb issues. A lot of the women that are walking around in corporate, your CEOs, all these women who doing all of this stuff, oh my God, it's this and it's that. Those women are suffering behind closed doors. Those are the main ones having to get hysterectomies and more. Y'all, you do not have to live like that. You do not have to do that at all. Please get in tune with your feminine nature. Come to work with me in that space. Get in tune with your feminine nature. Deal with your fibroids. Go see Sasha. Deal with your endometriosis. Go see Eli. Go do your work so that you get the fullness of this life and you truly get to experience the world operating in your feminine energy, and you won't be looking for no man to put you in your feminine energy. A lot of y'all out of y'all feminine energy because endometriosis and them fibroids got y'all by the chokehold. It's got to stop. It has to stop. And you don't have to get all these surgeries. You don't have to do all of this stuff. You can live a very feminine, free life when you face yourself. And your womb is a wealth creation station. It's not just bringing babies. It is a wealth creation station. And you need her at top tier shape. Okay? If you want to thrive. If you want to thrive and be free. If you don't, do what you want to do. Okay? All right, y'all. I'm gone. Click the link in the bio to get access to anything. Congratulations to those who looks like have gotten courses, gotten Finish What You Start. Finish What You Start is going away as of midnight. So if you don't get it, you don't get it. I might keep it to the morning just in case for my YouTube, because it's gonna go on YouTube too. But for sure, by tomorrow by noon, you're not gonna be able to access it. Okay. So, all right, y'all. I hope that y'all are well. And I hope that y'all be well. And I hope that y'all focus on yourselves and have an amazing, amazing, amazing weekend. Happy Feminine Friday again. Peace, y'all.